Welcome to Confessions of a Parent Coach. I'm parent coach, mother of four, and your host, Ann Kaplan. This is the podcast where you will learn that even for parenting experts like me, there is no such thing as a perfect parent, and that fabulous behavior and amazing relationships are right on the other side of that realization. If you're working your butt off to do right by your kid, honor yourself, and go beyond the BS around you, you are my person, and this podcast is for you. Full disclosure, I'm a sometimes potty talker, and we deal with the challenge of raising kids here. This podcast is for grown-ups, so stick your earbuds in and let's do this. Welcome into another episode of the podcast, everybody. My goodness, if you are watching the video replay of this, you are seeing that I am in a new setting, not my usual setting. I'm not sitting at my desk in Colorado. I'm not even sitting at my desk in Michigan. I'm sitting on my porch in Michigan. And I just got off a call. I'm taking a training class. Big surprise. I'm taking another Enneagram training class. And I've been sitting in the class all day. And when you're in a Zoom class, you kind of see yourself as this tiny little postage stamp square, among all of these others. And then they put us in breakout groups. So it was just me and one other person in the breakout room. And so I could see my screen much larger on my computer. And I was like, oh my gosh, this background looks fake. It is not fake. If you look closely, if you're watching the video, you can see, the water's moving over there. You might see like the trees swaying over here. You can see the sun shining on me and the shadows and everything, but it is so gorgeous today that it easily looks like a fake backdrop, but it's not. This is for real. This is where I get to be and enjoy nature and spend the summer up here. And if you come on the retreat, this is where you get to spend your days learning and growing and being in nature and doing some of your own personal exploration and personal growth in this just like super tranquil, peaceful holding of this little wood and the lake behind me and all of that great stuff. So enjoy the scenery while you listen to me talk. And you also might hear some funny sounds that you don't normally hear on a podcast, like birds chirping and boats in the background. Maybe I'm not sure how good my my microphone is to pick up things that are happening down in the water. But there you go. You can see it. You can even see a boat back there if you're looking. I have to make sure I don't get distracted by my scenery. So what are we talking about here today? What I want to talk about is something that is so normal for it's not just moms by any means, but I think it's very normal for all of us who are like uber adulters, meaning people who maybe just really almost excel to their own detriment at adulting or put things on themselves and to the point where they really are overly burdened and things like that. So just see if you can identify yourself in here. And I bet even no matter what kind of a person you are or what type on the Enneagram you are, there are probably memories or times in your life where you can be like, oh yeah, I did do that to myself. So think about this. So I'm going to tell you my confession. First of all, I have so many confessions around this that it actually took me a minute to decide, like, well, I don't want to get too confusing. What confession do I want to talk about today? And the one that I finally came up with was one of my girlfriends when my eldest son was newish, like less than 2, because I only had him. So that's how I know he was 2. He was less than 2, because by the time he was 2, he had a brother. But when he was little, the overwhelming responsibility of motherhood, really hit me like a ton of bricks in a lot of different ways. But one of them was just, the mental load, the actual physical load of, and especially anybody might be able to resonate with this. Like I finally felt like I had figured out, like, this is how we do it. This is how bedtime works. This is how food works. This is how we go day to day. This is the routine. This is how I respond when he is, misbehaving. Like I knew how it needed to be. and everything. And I didn't even realize fully like how much I was like overloaded with that because it felt like a relief. It feels like a relief when you finally feel like you know what you're doing. And this doesn't even have to just be about parenting. Like let's say it's a new job or you move to a new town or you get married or you start college or whatever. This feeling of like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. And then you finally feel like you figured out like, oh, wait, I actually know how to drive to the grocery store in my new town without my GPS or like, oh, I actually have friends that I can hang out with and stuff to do this weekend. It's the first Friday night in a long time that I wasn't just sitting at home entertaining myself, whatever. You have these moments where you feel like I figured this out. I know how to do it. I can do it. Like this is how it works. This is how we do this. And it feels like a relief. And for me, it felt like a relief to a large enough degree that I didn't even realize that it also felt like a burden until I guess let me back up even one click for a second, which is I was the first of all of my friends to get married, the first to have kids. I met Mike when I was 21 years old. By the time I was 25, I had a baby. Like most of my friends were either just contemplating getting married or nowhere near getting married, definitely not having kids. So I was really just winging it on my own. I was kind of like the lone wolf or whatever. And because of that, like here I am at home, married with a baby, and my friends are starting to get married and they're having bachelorette parties. They're going to do, oh, we're going to go to Vegas for a couple days, or we're going to go do a like overnight trip up into the mountains or whatever. And distinctly remember one bachelorette party that I was invited to where I just was like, I can't go. Like I can't go. Like I here's like this 10,000 things that have to happen in a day to take care of this kid. Who's going to do it? And if I don't stay and do it, it's going to be done maybe partially, but definitely shittily by whomever else. Like if I left and Mike was in charge, or let's say I asked my mom to come or his mom to come or whatever, you know, I didn't even get this far in my thinking. It was just like, well, I can't go. Like, forget it. And my friend was upset. Like we were really close. Like it mattered to her that I come to, and the idea of me not coming to her bachelorette party when I was like, I think I was even in her wedding party, if I remember correctly. She was just like, what do you mean you can't go? And I was just really irritated with her. Like I was just like, of course I can't go. Do you know like the stuff that just like literally just what I said. Like, let me explain to you the 10 million things that happen just before noon in a day that is going to get all screwed up if I leave. It's not even going to get done. Like, nobody else can do it, basically. And it's all on me. And she basically, I mean, bless her, because since she didn't have kids, she's lucky that I even listened to her because I can be so judgmental about, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't even know the a level of responsibility that is on my shoulders. Like, don't even say anything. But she persisted and she basically almost like point by point proved to me like this isn't even true. Like you definitely can come and someone else definitely can take care of your kid and you definitely, you know, can deal with it when you get back if there's anything that's like off kilter or whatever, and you're just telling yourself you can't go. And I don't even remember why. Maybe it was because she convinced me. Maybe it was because I still was all stuck up in my people pleasing chapter of life or whatever. But I finally relented and I did go on the trip. And I had a really good time. I didn't even realize like it was like such a big deal for me to just be out of my environment and not have anybody to answer to, or not, I didn't know anybody, anything. It had been so long since I'd felt that way that I forgot about it. And like I said, it had been such a relief when I finally figured out how to do this momming thing that I didn't realize that it was still weighing on me. And I still was like being burdened by it in a way that I couldn't even recognize while I was doing it. And then I came back home and I saw, well, first of all, the roof was still on our house.
Our baby was still alive. The house was not, burnt to the ground or anything. What I didn't realize until afterwards was the two major transformations that came from that was, well, first of all, Mike was a dad, like in a way that he hadn't been before, because he got to do it. Like I didn't constantly sort of like impede and or intervene and say, oh no, I do the diapers this way, or like, oh, actually, this is what I was going to feed him tonight, or well, I know you want to take him for a walk, but actually he's supposed to take a nap at this time. So he just got to parent without anybody telling him he was doing it wrong or redirecting him. And like, let me be clear, like Mike and I didn't like fight about stuff like that. It wasn't like he was like, you're infantilizing me, let me be in charge. And I wasn't like, you're so stupid, you can't do anything right. It wasn't like that at all. It was just that because I had been the one in charge and had taken the responsibility of the parenting, like he was following my lead, which was great. And also we didn't realize, neither of us realized that it was actually also damaging in a way that we didn't understand. And so he was leveled up in his fathering in a totally different way. It actually improved our relationship because even though this wasn't why I went on the trip, I had basically thrown him like this vote of confidence. Like if I really, really, really thought he couldn't do it, would I have gone on the trip? Probably not. But actually going on the trip was like proof almost. It was proof in so many ways. It was proof to him that he could parent. It was proof to him that I believed that he could parent. It was proof to me that he could parent. It was proof to me that I could trust and rely on my husband. It was also proof to me that like I actually wasn't as big of a deal as I thought I was. And that is what I want to talk about today. And there are so many examples of us doing this to ourselves. Like, I can't take a vacation from work. It's just going to be a disaster when I get back. I can't, I have a friend who is a caretaker for his wife who she needs 24-hour care. And he gets in his own way all day, every day of just, he could go on vacation, a 3-day vacation, a long weekend vacation once a year, and it would be fine. He has the supports in place to let himself do that, but he talks himself out of it all of the time. It's like, I can't. That was when I very first got the invitation to this, bachelorette weekend, I just was like, well, I can't go. I can't go because I'm the linchpin. I am the keystone that keeps this bridge, from falling down. And it can feel like an assault or a confrontation to consider that actually you ain't, for people who really are keeping something together. And so let me, back up a tiny bit and say, yes, you are a really big deal, especially if you're the primary caretaker, whether it's in a family with children, whether your children are grown and you're just the one who kind of glues the family together and organizes the family vacations and all of that stuff or whatever. Like you are really important. And it probably would deeply impact your family or your work or your relationship or whatever, were you to completely take yourself out of the equation for this extremely long extended period of time. And so that's all true. And we put all this stuff on our shoulders, but we're not that important. Like, you're important, but you're not that important. Actually, the world will keep turning. Even if you actually went up in a puff of smoke tomorrow, the world would keep turning. And so many of us are disallowing not just ourselves, but everyone in our family to learn that lesson, and this is one of the reasons why I say that the people for a lot of people who come on my retreat, the biggest growth that they get from the retreat is simply the act of going on the retreat. Finally kind of drawing this line in the sand and saying, I am going to take care of myself. I'm going to invest money in myself. I'm going to take this time for myself. And in so doing, I'm going to prove to myself that I can do that. that I'm not actually as important as I thought I was in that egoic way. It's such a powerful lesson, and I see it happen every year for at least a handful of people, especially the new people who come on the retreat who haven't already proven this to themselves. I watch them kind of just be like, wait a minute, holy cow. And there might be some partners out there listening to this and thinking, yeah, like it'd be really cool if my partner realized not just, oh, my partner's not the end all be all, but also like I can do stuff, like you can count on me. I want to do that. And I want to know for myself that I can do that. Like it's a gift that we give, and this lesson that we allow ourselves and the other people in our life to learn. Our partners need to learn that. Our kids need to learn that, especially once they're like, I would say around 2, 1.5 even. I'm not talking about you leaving for like 7 weeks or something like that, but that's a time when they can learn that like I can be away, we can be apart, and my mom still exists when she's gone. We're going to come back together again. Other people can take care of me. I can take care of myself. Like us taking space is kind of a huge thing for our kids as well. And I can speak to that. My kiddos are a little bit older now, but my youngest is 12. And for the last couple of years, I have noticed like I go away to run the retreat, which because I do 2 dates, I'm actually gone for 2 weeks. And when I come back, he is like a year older than when I left. And it's not just because, like, oh, absence makes the heart grow fonder, or you see your child with new eyes or something that he has actually literally leveled up without tears, without surus, without angst. He just, like, I wasn't there. So he did it. It's kind of like if someone makes you dinner every single night, you just kind of get in the habit of expecting them to make dinner. It's not because you can't make dinner. It's just that's how you do it. And then one day that person isn't there and you're like, oh, all right, well, I guess I'll make dinner. And you do, and it's fine. And then that person comes back and they're like, wait a minute, you can make dinner? It's like, of course, and that has how it's been between me and Sky for the last, I'm trying to think, like, I would say since he was about 9 years old. I would come back from running the retreat and he would just have like taken on a whole new skill set that he had been completely not even resistant to doing. He just hadn't grown into it yet. But because I wasn't there, there was nothing impeding him from growing into it. So he did. It was so huge. So, it's a lesson that our kids need to learn when we go away, that they can live without us for a few days, that they have what it takes, that they actually have this resourcefulness inside them that they haven't ever even needed to access before. And we need to learn that. We think we're everything. We're wrong. And if you start to think about how deep this idea goes, it goes way beyond like denying ourselves freedoms or privileges or experiences. It's so far beyond that. It's even so far beyond like this idea of like supporting our partners or helping our kids level up. Like, think about this. When we really think that we are everything, we are the linchpin, what we're really doing is taking responsibility slash blame for everything. Why our kids act the way that they do, why they are who they are. We maybe don't say this out loud, but there's like this tacit assumption that like we're actually to blame for our kids' personalities. Why our family acts the way that they do, why people behave the way that they do, why our family gets across the finish line or why they don't get across the finish line. It goes so deep, this idea of like everything is on me. And it's just so toxic in so many ways. It's kind of crazy when you start to think about it. It's kind of actually selfish in a way because, when we tell ourselves we're the end all be all, we're really taking blame, taking responsibility, taking credit for and making everything in our family and everything about our kids about us. And it's not about us, so if you're in this dynamic where you blame yourself when your kids struggle or when they misbehave, if you are depleting yourself because you really think like I can't go on the trip, I can't go on the retreat, I can't take a break, I can't hire a babysitter, I can't leave the kids with my partner or my mom or my friend or my babysitter. If you're telling yourself, you know, all lands on me, what is the result of that? You become depleted, which means, okay, you might be carrying the entire bulk of the load, but you're not doing a great job of it. I mean, let's be honest. A depleted person is not a great at whatever it is that they're doing. It also causes us to rob our children of opportunities to stand on their own 2 feet, and rob our parents or our partners or the people around us of the opportunities to be a part of this like sort of team that gets us all across the finish line as a collective. It causes us to infantilize our parenting partners to the point where we now have colluded with them in thinking that they're helpless and incapable, which they are not. It's really messed up when you think about it. And it's so funny because it stems from this quote unquote selfless place of I have to take care of everybody. I have to take care of everything. I am responsible for everything. If I'm not here, everything would fall apart. If I don't do it, no one else is going to. That's something I used to say all the time. Like, who's going to do it if I don't? No one. It'll just never get done. The dishes will pile up. No one's going to do the freaking laundry, blah, 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 blah. Which brings me to another story, which has nothing to do with going on trips or anything like that. But like, when I started I used to do all the laundry. I also used to have like a very specific way that I would do the laundry and fold the laundry and deliver laundry and put the laundry away. I was like, oh my God, get a life. But that's how I was for years and years and years. And even when I would like loosen the reins about the laundry, it was because I had just had a baby. So I was like literally just like sleeping and bleeding all day long. And I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll let my mom or Mike do the laundry, whatever. I'll fix it, quote unquote, once I'm back on my feet. And I didn't even really notice that. That was just something I did. When I started my coaching practice in earnest and it started taking off, I was busy. Like I didn't have this like big swath of like an hour and a half or 2 hours to do the laundry in this like really diligent, anal way that I used to do it. I might shove a load in the washer before I started my workday and put it back in the dryer, but then I would get, whatever. I had emails to write, I had blog posts to distribute, I had social media that I needed to build up. I was building a business, not to mention doing my actual coaching work and studying and all the things that it requires to get a business off the ground. And I never actually like officially addressed the laundry question at all. It was just like, oh, I didn't get to it today. I'll get to it tomorrow. And I knew I would. I probably would have gotten to it. I definitely would have done it over the weekend if I hadn't gotten to it throughout the week or whatever. But really, almost like without either of us even noticing it, Mike started just doing the laundry. And it wasn't even anything jarring, or it was probably like 2 years in before I realized like I never do laundry anymore. Like Mike just gets to it before I do. And it wasn't something that he was like, I guess I have to do the laundry now. Or it wasn't something where I was like, I can't be doing the laundry all the time. I have a job now. It was not like that. It just happened. It just happened. Like it was just like the example I gave of like, oh, no one else is making dinner. I guess I'll make dinner. It was like that. And if you had asked me, 6 months before I started my practice, who does the laundry and what would happen if you didn't do the laundry? I would have said, in fact, I know I had said like when in moments of frustration or venting to like my sister or friends or whatever, like, oh my God, like, if I don't do the laundry, it would just like pile up until like every stitch of fabric in our house was like in the laundry room, just sitting on top of the washer, waiting to get washed. Well, guess what? I was completely wrong. And life proved that to me. That was not true. That was just a thing that I told myself. And I'll take it one step further before I wrap up for today, which is now, like at this point in my own personal work, where I'm looking at my own compulsions and my own consciousness in like very elevated ways when I can and when I can access it. And I'm not just being stuck in my old bullshit. But in this moment where I have access to that clarity or that consciousness, at least occasionally, I can look back on that and say, I was committed to the story that, oh, if I don't do it, nobody will, or I can't go on this, trip. I can't, you know, I couldn't stop doing the laundry. I couldn't go, to a friend's bachelorette party. No way. I couldn't do it. It was that story was really what was going on there. The truth of me not being able to go on a trip or not being able to give up doing the laundry, that wasn't true at all. That's it simply wasn't there. The truth of that did not exist. But what did exist was my commitment to the story that I can't. I'm being kept from something. It's not for me, it's for other people. Must be nice. The vantage point that I had at that age of, nice things I don't get the things that I want. I don't have luxuries. I don't have freedom or privilege. I don't have access and this sort of like more pleasant way of living. That's not for me. That was what was real, that perspective. And it was so important to me, that it was worth being frustrated and resentful and limited and depleted in order to keep the story alive. And I really did not see that element of it until probably, I don't know, a couple years ago. And I mean, in great thanks to the Enneagram, because starting to see the compulsions of the type, understanding the mechanisms. Ooh, did you hear that? I don't know if you could hear it. It was a loon. That's my favorite thing about the lake is loons. I have loons on my shutters and everything. But anyway, not to digress, the Enneagram is what helped me start to see the patterns and compulsions and fixations of the type, and how seeing myself, it all comes from this kernel of, as a one, I'm a one, as a one, it all comes from this kernel of like responsibility and duty and goodness and rightness, and what my ideas are about being good and or bad or right or wrong, and that kernel generating this entire personality construct that prohibited me from being the kind of person, quote unquote, who would go and leave her baby for 5 days so I could go to a bachelorette party or whatever. And obviously this is not a huge leap. You're watching me, if you're watching the video, you're watching me in this magical place, talk about the retreat, talk about my own experience impeding myself in that. Like, I really encourage you to think about, like, where might you be doing that in your life? And chances are, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, one of the places you're doing that in your life is the retreat. This beautiful, magical opportunity for you to come and be here with me in this place that looks like a fake backdrop, but it's not. For realsies place, be here with me. Do this work. Start to see your own patterns and compulsions. Prove to yourself that this is for you and that it is possible, and give that gift to not just yourself, but to your family, to your partner, to your work, to all of the people in your life that would benefit from you knowing that they have what it takes to take care of you and to take care of business when you're not around, and that you can be a healthy and healed person when you're interacting with them. So this month of June is the final month to sign up for the retreat. This is the month where I need to hit my minimum numbers and assess, where are we? Is this going to happen this year? Do we have enough people to really make this fly? So I know I talk about it being in October, and it is, but now is the time to take action and do this for yourself. And if that is speaking to you, even if it's just you want to talk it through and get a little bit of more information, or let me know that you're curious, do not hesitate. The people who are hesitating are the people who are making it so that I might not be able to run a retreat at all. So do not be that person. Reach out to me today. Let me know that you're like, okay, you know what? I think this might be for me. I'm a little hesitant. Talk me through it. That's the conversation that I am ready to have with each and every one of you today. So reply to the email that you got the link to this in, if that's how you got here. Reach out to me on my website, AnnKaplanCoaching.com. You can click on the link in the show notes. There's a million ways. We all know that the reason why you haven't connected with me now is not because you couldn't find the way to connect with me. So let's have that talk. Let's make it happen. And let's make this year's retreat as magical as all the previous years combined. I can't wait to talk to you soon and to give you a giant hug on my doorstep here in the fall. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
The episode is over, but there's more waiting for you. You can grab my free workbook, Getting Kids to Listen the First Time, that walks you through the fundamental principles I teach all of my clients and applies them to this very universal parenting challenge. So if you're sick of repeating yourself all day long or just want to learn more about my style, you'll definitely want to go to bit.ly/kidswholisten. And if you're ready to work with me, let's meet. Set up a free call at bit.ly/Kaplan call, and let's create an action plan that gets you exactly where you want to go. And of course, links to all this goodness are in the show notes. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.